Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that. Then right after that, Al had a meeting, and I was going to meet up with him because we were in Vegas, and then the next thing you know, he must be the luckiest, because it seems like everybody that worked at Uptown Records from the very beginning is gone. Just him. I guess Al disappointed you. You know, it's...
Y'all, get in here, cause the feds are officially reopening Kim Porter's case after her ex-boyfriend Al B. Shore submitted major evidence to them about how Diddy took Kim Porter out, including proof that Diddy stole Kim's laptop, manipulated her autopsy results, put his hands on her multiple times, and even paid his goons to threaten him to stay away from Quincy's life so folks would think he was a deadbeat. As if this wasn't bad enough, Kim's personal diary is now being turned into a book, and a few pages of her infamous tell-all book have leaked online, and it revealed extremely graphic details about what Diddy did to her. See, at the time of Kim's death, there was a lot of shady things going on, and Al B. Shore was one of the first people to speak out about it. But before he could even submit the evidence to the police, he suffered a health emergency and went into a coma. However, Al B is back again, and he is not letting up on Diddy until he's charged with of Kim. Now, like I said before, there were a lot of inconsistencies in this investigation, and Al B. Shore was one of the first people to point it out. For starters, it was reported that Kim died from pneumonia. However, the coroner who initially was put on the case, Ed Winter, concluded that her death was a homicide when he found toxins in her body. And get this, y'all, just before Ed went public about his findings, he was suddenly fired from the investigation and replaced with a coroner that Diddy requested. To make it that much worse, this second coroner completely disregarded Ed's findings and just went on to conclude that Kim died from pneumonia, even though Kim's family and doctors said she didn't have any prior health conditions.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
Not only that, but Kim is not the first high-profile celebrity that Ed Winter was in charge of. He's actually the same coroner who was responsible for investigating the deaths of Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Brittany Murphy, Paul Walker, Tom Petty, and Corey Haim. This man is at the top of his game, so if he says there were toxins in Kim's body, then there were definitely toxins present. As if things couldn't get any shadier, when people started digging into all this and began connecting the dots, Ed Winter suddenly died too. And of course, people started side-eyeing Diddy for this because the timing was just too convenient. Do y'all know how much evidence Ed would have given to the police if he didn't suddenly drop dead just weeks before Cassie's lawsuit came out? The question surrounding Kim's actual cause of death got even worse when Al B. Shore put up an IG post hinting at her possibly being... Yeah, y'all heard that right. Al B posted this video of him crying with the caption, "Just found this footage from the morning I learned of Kim Porter's and how it ripped the soul from my physical body. I do know very clearly that Kimberly didn't just check out all of a sudden over pneumonia. That's some bull-ish. Yeah, that man was not here for that BS about her having some dang pneumonia, cause it was clear as day that Diddy made the second coroner slap that on there so he could get away with it. But Al B did not end it there, because after Diddy's recent arrest, he came back again, and this time he gave us a very detailed explanation on how Diddy used his entourage to successfully silence him by putting him in a coma and trying to end his life on multiple occasions. He even said he somehow tried informing law enforcement about the threat on his life, but they were also paid off, so nobody took him seriously. And do y'all remember the allegation about Kim's stolen laptop? Al B confirmed this when he said Diddy stole it so he could erase the contents of her book and any evidence that could incriminate him. He said, "For over a decade and a half, I've been posting about and tagging visiting random law enforcement agencies in hopes to protect loved ones, avoid deaths, and tragedies that could have all been avoided. Despite this, I've been ignored, ridiculed, and medically silenced to cover up all these crimes you're all now aware of by a very aggressive hashtag PR team and a costly campaign to silence and physically harm me from exposing. It only aimed to prevent me from further sharing publicly the facts and insights that Lady K shared with me during our frequent and intimate conversations in her selfless attempts to save my life by sharing frequent plans to do harm and possibly by ending my life. I am writing this to formally request an investigation into an entire group of individuals who worked at or around the residence of Miss Kimberly Porter, including the publicist who assisted in drafting this. It's come to my attention that these persons were also instructed to steal her computer and mobile devices, which contained her original book notes. And Al B ain't tell a single lie, because right after he made this post, a since deleted investigative article by the popular blogger Hollywood Street King also started going viral. And in this article, Hollywood Street King actually spoke to a few of Kim's family members, and it turns out they also suspected foul play. According to the article, when Kim's autopsy concluded that she had died from pneumonia that she never had, there were questions about the manner in which she died. There were even reports at the time that Kim's family wanted her body exhumed for a proper investigation, but Diddy didn't sign the paperwork for it to get done. This article also claims that Kim was actually found on her bed with red fluid on her pillowcases and a slight trail of red fluid on the bedroom floor that led to the bathroom. She was also strategically placed on the bed to mess with the police investigation. Oh, but it gets even shadier, y'all, because a private conversation between one of Kim's family members and the publisher of her book leaked. And in this message, the publisher accused Diddy of sending them a cease and desist, ordering them not to release the book and return all the files that Kim had given them to write about. The message read, "Just wanted to let you know that Sean has put the clamps on Kim Porter's book for making it to the shelves. Yeah, he done put that pressure on all parties that were involved in the process of putting this book together. Sean's lawyers have stepped up to the plate and hit them with that paperwork. Also, he's asking for any information, footage, documents, etc. that contain private information about him or Kim to be seized, and they have 3 business days to surrender it. Paperwork was served to at least 2 of the individuals that were involved this past Thursday. Just thought I'd let you know." Despite Diddy successfully stopping the publication of the book, the publishers gave us a rundown of some of the alleged contents of the book, and he said, and I quote, "Some of the things in the book covers Diddy's gay relationships, footage of those encounters, the men he slept with, STDs, Diddy giving Usher an STD, and the explosive encounter between Diddy and Usher's mom, Mary J. Blige being pregnant by Diddy, and of course, she terminated it, the beating she took, pushing him down the steps in 2007 and breaking his foot, also how she used a strap-on to please Diddy, and how she would hysterically cry alone after doing so, how she protected Al B. Sure from running to Diddy, and would call him to warn him not to show up to certain places to avoid trouble." Child, Kim was really getting ready to destroy Diddy's whole career, y'all. Mind you, Diddy even went as far as getting rid of her laptop so he could dispose of the evidence. And can we talk about how all the people that Diddy started off with in his career either ended up dying off for strange reasons or ended up in a coma except for him?
But when you think about Kim, I was thinking to myself the other day, Uptown Records started with 5 people. Andre Harrell, Al B. Sure, Heavy D, and Puffy. And Kim was the longest working employee because she was there from the very beginning. She was Andre's personal assistant. Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead. The only 2 left are Puffy and Al almost died. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
Heavy D was found dead, face down in the heart attack. Andre Harrell, heart attack. Then right after that, Al had a meeting, and I was going to meet up with him because we were in Vegas, and then the next thing you know, you want to know what they all had in common, though? The survivors and the late of Uptown Records, they were all writing tell-all books. Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. And Al B. Sure was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma. Has Puffy ever been in a coma? Has anything happened to him? He must be the luckiest, because it seems like everybody that worked at Uptown Records from the very beginning is gone. Just him. I guess Al disappointed you. You know,
I mean, Diddy's own bodyguard, Gene Deal, also came out and spilled some disturbing tea about the time he witnessed Kim slitting Diddy's wrists in the middle of a physical altercation because he thought she was cheating on him.
Right hand is in a bandage. That's the night I was called by Paul to meet him over at St. Luke's Hospital. He had a white t-shirt wrapped around his wrist because Kim had took the you know where you open up wine? The corkscrew. She took the corkscrew and caught him on his wrist defending himself. And he almost, I know he tore some ligaments, but he almost hit an artery or came close to the artery or either scratched it or cut it a little bit because he just kept bleeding. And from that point on, he was hooked. That's when I knew when they was talking about people getting addicted and hooked on pain medicines, that's what happened to him. And it was from his right wrist that he's reminded by Kim all the time.
Mind you, this was the altercation that Gene saw, but this wasn't the only time that Diddy was putting his hands on Kim. A few years ago, a source told Media Takeout that Diddy had physically attacked Kim so badly that he broke her nose, and she had to fly in a plastic surgeon that night to fix her nose before the blogs caught wind of it. The source said, by 2 a.m., they were arguing loudly. This went on for several hours. Then at 7 a.m., there was screaming. Diddy flew in a specialist plastic surgeon from Geneva after the accident. Porter has since claimed that she hurt her face after she banged her nose on the table.
That's Kim's book. Then you hear about the fact that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht? He broke Kim, let's say allegedly, but it was told by people in her camp that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht. So Cassie's story is Kim's story.
Child, this is a hot stinking mess, and the feds really need to get on their Zoom and look into Kim's case again. There's just no way this much manipulation and this many inconsistencies for them to just keep overlooking it. As usual, people had their own thoughts about this, like this person who said he literally is saying Diddy was his life, and Kim would make him aware so he wouldn't be. That deadbeat narrative was probably pushed by Diddy to keep Al away from Kim and Quincy. That's a man who was running for his life, and Kim was protecting him for Diddy. I always loved Al B. Sure. He knows what happened to his baby mother, and Diddy tried to get him out of here, but it ain't worked. Justice for Kim Porter. Another person said, at this point, I believe Diddy probably him to stay away. That's how powerful that man was, and using his power, it's too many victims that were scared to speak out against him. That was being they did. I hope all this comes to light. But now I want to know your thoughts. What do y'all think about Diddy allegedly being behind Kim's death? And what do y'all think about Al B. Sure urging the police to reopen the case? Y'all been knew what to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other very messy video.